Well, I'm not a geographer, but I can see that it's showing climate change. Temperature is increasing, is rising. So we can see that.
Yes. Yeah. That's the only thing that I want to know because, okay, if it's someone who is not a geographer is able to interpret this, means that the graph is clear. So you can see this variation from 18 up to 2020. But what is we can see what is the growth, the increase of the temperature. So if the temperature increases, it's really a problem. I've lived in Maputo for 40 years, kilometers away from Maputo. When I arrived in this city, hardly we could see people using air conditioner. But now the situation has changed. Hardly you find a house, especially in the fancy neighborhoods, without air conditioning. This is a sign that something is happening in terms of temperatures. The temperature is increasing. Maputo hardly, if we go back to 80s, 1980s, hardly Maputo could reach 40 degrees of temperature. But now, we haven't reached what we call the summer. Our summer starts in December. But currently, now, since September, the temperature of Maputo is above 35 degrees. I cannot imagine what will happen in January, where normally we have the highest temperature. And it's because of this that we are having these extreme events when we have cyclones now. And actually the meteorologists, they say that it's no longer cyclone we are talking about. We are talking about tornadoes. And the tornadoes, it was something that was happening in America where the speed of wind is above 200 kilometers per hour. But now that's what we are facing. This is a real sign, really evidence about climate change. So, I remember during the 80s also, Maputo used to reach temperatures like 8 degrees, 10 degrees, but now the coldest day in Maputo is just 15 degrees. It's another thing, so another evidence of climate change. So we are talking about a continent that already have problems. So what are foreseen in terms of temperature when temperature increases? Means that either we don't have rain or when it rains, it is a heavy rain and it is a destructive rain. What do we think about what? Of course, this will affect agriculture. So the right map, we see the climate zones in Africa, the Mediterranean up north, tropical rainforest, where it's a central region of Africa, and some countries in Western Africa, we have deserts. I've shown you like the Sahara one and the Kalahari in Southern Africa, and we have steppe and savanna. That is the main climate zones in African continent. But because of this temperature that is increasing, of course, the tropical rainforests are in danger. Because of the increase of temperature means that the Sahara desert will largen, as well as the Kalahari desert in Southern Africa. So are we ready for that? Of course, we're not ready for that. An example that I can give you, In 2019, the same region in Mozambique was hit by two devastating cyclones, the Idai cyclone, in March and in April. And then it was the Kenneth one, it reached the northern Mozambique. And that the same cyclone hit Madagascar, Comoros, and also other Southern African countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Tanzania. And this year, 2021, again, another cyclone hit the same areas. This time it was Iluiz cyclone. This is the really terrible what's happening. And of course, when we have this natural events, or when we have these cyclones or floods or mobility. Okay, maps of the map of cyclones in Africa. We have these four regions that part is Africa. We have the Sahel tropical waves, the Mediterranean, we have Arabian Sea cyclones, we have Indian Ocean tropical cyclones. That's something interesting for those who are not geographers. I don't know if, do you know that Africa and are not divided. There is nothing that separate. Even we can see the Red Sea here, but Africa is linked to the Middle East. But usually in talkings, in statistics, Middle East is put aside, but there is no physical separation between African continent and the Middle East. And in terms of even Africa with Europe, only 25 kilometers separate Africa from Southern Europe. I mean, Portugal and Spain. So there are four areas around Africa are known to produce tropical cyclones, these four areas. And some of these world deadliest and coastless cyclones come from the Indian Ocean, and the main Atlantic hurricanes come from Northern Africa. So the first two bullets are the most important, knowing that there are four areas of Africa that produce cyclones. And again, sorry for talking about, I'm talking much about Mozambique, is the country where I'm living, where I have more experience in terms of this, the cyclones. We have Mozambicans are really very thankful to Madagascar because you can see in the map. This is because Madagascar works as our bumper. It protects, this country protects Mozambique against cyclone, which means if Madagascar was not here, what we're facing today would be worse. Yeah, we would be talking about really tornadoes, not we would be talking about cyclones. So we have these Southeast African cyclones. Wow. As you see in this map, usual direction of movement, they're coming from there, from Asia, because of monsoon. So they bring in heavy winds and heavy rain, and they cross Madagascar, they cross Mauritius and the Reunion Island, and it reaches Comoros and Mozambique and other Southern African countries, including South Africa. And the winds even go further until the interland countries like Zimbabwe. Like this year, I submitted again a paper in a journal. I'm still waiting for the answer, which is about migration between Malawi and Mozambique. because of these natural events. So here is the map. Here is the situation of cyclones happening of natural disasters. These cyclones affected Mozambique. Wow. They are coming, they are formed in the Indian Ocean. And when they reach Mozambique, they bring destruction. When they reach Mozambique, they cause death. When they reach Mozambique, they destroy infrastructures. And honestly speaking, sometimes I don't know what causes more destruction in Mozambique. If it was the war, the 10 years of war, or it is 16 of war, we had 10 years, we had 15, 16, and plus 5 years since 2015. What causes more destruction and what causes more displacement in Mozambique? If it is these natural or human events, including wars. So you see here, this graph, it indicates the cyclones that have hit Mozambique since 1984. In fact, that one of 1984, it hit Maputo. Even today, we still have evidence of or signs about this cyclone of 1984. Yeah, so this, and the speed of that cyclone is only 92 kilometers. But if you read here, the names are written in Portuguese, okay, but we read the speed. We had in 1988, the speed reached 142 kilometers, but the highest, it was this one in 2012, which reached to 200 kilometers per hour. But the Idai and the Louise of this year, it reached about 300 kilometers per hour. It is a lot. Mozambique particularly is a country that is still under reconstruction. After 16 years of war, we were, for about 20 years, the country was under reconstruction. And then we start in 2000, we had this cyclone that created the big floods. The big floods, there is a book called, the title is like that, the Big Floods. It was written by Joseph Allen, where he describes how the floods of 2000 affected the economy, how the floods affected the infrastructures, and how the floods affected the population, and obviously created displacement and the need for aid, for international aid. And because we're living under these circumstances where the Mozambicans and most of African countries, especially those who are affected by cyclones, they live here, as I said, they live here as beggars. They live as a stretched hand where we always were begging, we're asking for money for reconstruction. And then this, of course, will affect the country in future. Where if young people, because of these natural events, are not studying, what do we foresee for in 10 or 20 years? Now we're talking about SDGs. 9 years, in fact, where the 2001 is over. We can say that only 8 years remain. Which conditions Africa, or particularly Mozambique, has to meet the SDG? Any SDG, start the 17, because they were defined there, the UN defined 17 SDGs, including poverty reduction, including hunger reduction, including resilience of cities. When I'm talking the resilience of cities is really important because you see, most of African cities were built in coastal zone, the coastal zone that is affected by cyclones, by drought, also by floods. And the situation of Mozambique makes the situation of Mozambique worse is the rivers, all the rivers are coming from interland and they end in Mozambique. So this is another problem that they can't. I'm talking about Mozambique, but also I believe that it's the same situation like Tanzania, is the same situation like Kenya, like Somalia, all these coastal countries. So yeah, this is what we are expecting. Population and state of mobility. We're no longer sedentary people, and being in a status of nomadic people or sedentary people, we obviously were not able to build our economy. And that's really very important that the countries global, from global north to global south, we have in fact to be aware that if we don't change the situation, Africa in particular will not meet the SDG. African continent is talking about the agenda 2063. Okay. That we are quite far from 2063, but it's not far in it's in our doors. So we have to do current situation. What I have not, yes, this is the last slide that I had to share with you. To conclude, saying that we are still nomadic. They are no longer how do you call this? They are no longer the Maasai in Kenya. They are talking about Maasai, that they are nomadic people. It's no longer these guys who are living in the deserts that are nomadic people. All of us, all Africans, are living or are in status of nomadism because of these events. Today I was talking about natural disasters, but in other future classes, I will talk about more deeply about the events that, besides creating the problem of displacement, also this hinders the economy of Africa. If you don't change, if you don't find strategies to cope with climate change, Africa continent will continue called or named by these names that people are saying about Africa, the poorest continent, the continent where the GDP is the lowest, the continent where people are not able to sort out their own issues, the continent where we are depending on other people to sort out our issues. So this is what I have to, I prepared to share with you. Okay. So now, as Lawrence was saying, questions, but when I put that question, it was myself. I had the question. So I want you to, if you have questions, curiosity, or if you want to share something, because I believe that I'm not the only one who knows about what is happening in our beloved continent. Okay, so Lawrence.
Yes, thank you very much, Inès. It's a great masterclass. I present you my thankful.